MLS. The MLS is returning July 8th. That is the start of it. And very similar to the NHL, they have everything set up. Everything is done. It's ready. They are one of, I think, the second. They were behind the NHL in getting their setup done. They are coming back. July 8th is the very first game, and it's going to be taking place in Orlando. Games being taking place in Orlando, and it's not a bracket play; it's group play, which is very similar to the World Cup. There's three groups from each conference. The West has three groups. The East has three groups. That will be portrayed on your screen right now if you're watching from YouTube. Um, each team in the West has four teams. You're gonna play a minimum of three games, so basically you just gotta play everyone in your bracket. Same thing in the East, but in the East, one of the groups has six in order to just make every game like even, because that way you just play everyone. Or actually, no, in Group A you're not gonna play everyone. I guess you're just gonna play three, like just three other teams. So you're not gonna play two teams if you're in Group A. But that's gonna be portrayed on your screen right now. I After that, which will also be on your screen, because I have a little calendar kind of thing. July 8th is going to be the start of group stage, and that's going to go all the way till July 25th to 28th, and that's going to go into a bracket play around the 16. July 30th to the 1st, quarterfinals. August 5th to the 6th, the semifinals, and August 11th is going to be the very final of the MLS tournament. I don't have an exact date on when the MLS normally ends, but I don't know if the MLS is going to be pushed back much because that seems. I know the MLS goes through the summer, so August 11th doesn't seem too far back of their normal end date or too ahead. I don't know exactly. But I mean, they have everything done. They have it all set. They have the way everything's done. The Player Association and the MLS have agreed on a deal. MLS is coming back, and they're going to be the first sport to come back. They are the first major sport in the U.S. to come back. And honestly, it's just as much as people hate watching soccer because a lot of people say it's slow or a lot of people just don't like it. It's gonna bring in new fans. It's the only sport back. It's honestly a very very good look for the MLS.
Did you see their living situation though? I don't know if you saw the pictures yesterday.
No, I did not. I did not see their.
They, I saw a picture. It was obviously trending on Twitter on Tuesday. But I think it was FC Toronto, if that's a team, or the team from Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto FC.
Okay, there we go. There's, I think all the players are staying at the Swan and Dolphin Resort, which is in Disney World, obviously,
Yeah.
where they're playing their games, and the players are not allowed to leave. Similar to what the NBA is going to be doing, they have meals delivered to their room. The players took a picture of what their meals were that they got delivered for lunch, and it might have been the least nutritious meal I've ever seen a professional athlete be forced to eat. They
What were
had
they
like
eating?
it was like one sandwich that was like put on the oven and it was overcooked. We'll have a picture of it up so you guys can see it. But it was like an overcooked sandwich, a cut up banana, and I think it was only half the banana, and it just looked absolutely disgusting. And the players were mind blown. This is because they weren't allowed to go out; they're being forced to stay in that bubble. So whatever they get to eat is all they get to eat, and the fact that they're getting a meal that's not even what a professional athlete should be eating is mind blowing to me.
Oh, that's insane. I mean, look, obviously it's not ideal. Obviously they would like. I mean, they're playing for the biggest tournament of the year, or it's going to be the biggest tournament. It's not obviously going to always be like this. This is this is the tournament of the year. This is to win everything. Then I feel like it should be a little better. Obviously, maybe things are not as they're not as great as you want them to be. It's definitely not the best meal. But looking at this article, I found that so the two top teams from every group, so there's six groups. The top two teams from each group are going to move on to bracket play. Um, and then four of the third place finishers will also move on to the knockout like bracket play. And that's just going to be the best record out of the three. So that's going to go. My guess is if there's two teams that are tied, it's going to go to goal differential, which is goals against, goals for, depending on how that works. Because I mean, there is no home field advantage. There's none of that. So it's got to be goal differential. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh yes, it is goal differential. It is goal differential. Um, yeah, and then so the group stages will count as points towards the 2020 regular season standings, which is obviously very different than most sports even do because most sports don't have the points for each win being worth 3, a draw being worth 1, and a loss being worth nothing. So I guess that's how. I guess even if you go 3-0, you don't even have a guarantee of making it out. Although they weren't very far in, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But players can earn an additional 1.1 million prize pool for their performance during the event, during this like tournament and everything, which I think, on top of just winning everything, I think is a pretty good incentive to do well.
Definitely, I wouldn't mind $1 million.
Yeah, right. And that's per player, I believe. Yeah, it says players will earn additional bonuses from 1.1 million.
I mean, that's good. I feel like a lot of leagues should be doing that. I feel like it's a dangerous time. I mean, everyone has to deal with it, not just athletes. Obviously, everyone has to go out, but I feel like there should be an incentive for these players to obviously have to leave their families for weeks at a time, even months, depending on the sport. And there should be some sort of additional incentive to still have them go out and perform the way they do every game.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Um, yeah, but the MLS is finally coming back. Um, Honestly, big props to them. They got everything done they needed to, and I mean they just look better than most other sports do at the moment. Obviously, that's kind of excluding the NFL because well, it's not their season. But most other major sports in America is in the smack middle of their season or at the beginning of their season if you're the MLB. But obviously, we talked about the struggles the MLB has had trying to get just their season back. And it's only a 60 game season, as we talked about last episode. Make sure to go check that out.
I have one more question about the MLS because obviously I haven't even watched soccer until recently, where I've only been I guess a lax viewer you want to call it.
Yeah.
How many games does the MLS usually play in a standard season? About you don't know if you know the exact, but about.
So they normally play each team twice. So you normally play home, like each team home and each team away. So there's 26 teams, so you're gonna end up playing like I can't do math. Like actually no, it's actually off. They end up playing like 40 something games. My math is just
How many
really.
games are there before they start like the playoffs similar tournament they have this
They're gonna
time?
play 3. So they normally play 34 regular season games, which is 17 home games, 17 away games.
Mm-hmm.
They normally play 34. Other leagues are you'll play everyone once home, once away, but the MLS has 26 teams, which is a lot more than most other leagues and around the world. But yeah, they'll play that, and then it just goes based off record to get into the playoffs. But for this, you're gonna play 3 games. Just basically everyone in your group, unless you're in the group of 6, then you're just gonna play your. You just gotta play 3 teams in your group. I don't know how they're gonna determine who plays what game, or like who plays who. But yeah, it's just gonna be those 3 games, and then it's gonna go towards points in the 2020 regular season standings. And I guess if you're atop of that, you'll move out of your group.
That's interesting. I feel like their games are obviously cut really short because they didn't play that much of a season before
No, they
everything got
didn't.
shut down.
They really didn't play any at all. I think they were 3 or 4 games in.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
surprised to see. I'm surprised to see the way they're handling this now, just with such a short play in. Just because I mean, I feel like they're in a different situation than other sports. Like obviously, them and MLB hadn't started yet, but MLB is still doing a 60 game season.
yeah they played.
But their season goes longer anyway.
Yeah,
Where now I feel like the MLS is obviously that you said their season is still ending around the same time as usual. Where I guess that makes sense. You kind of want to keep it the same. But now their games are cut short. I feel like so many teams are going to be at a disadvantage now.
yeah. They only played 2 games, by the way. Like they just
Two
played
games.
2. That's it. So I mean, I don't. I guess every team kind of has a chance, but like if you're like, so you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and 0 points for a loss. So like, there's a chance that even like, no matter depending on your group, that if you even if you win all 3, like there's a chance you still might not get out because 3 points is a lot. Like for example, the top of the West is Sporting Kansas City. They have 6 points because they won both their games. At the bottom is the Houston Dynamo. They have 0 points. They lost both their games. Oh no, just kidding. They have 1 point. So I'll do it in the East. Atlanta United won both their games. They have 6 points. New York City FC have 0 points. They lost both their games. Now, if New York City is in Atlanta's group, New York City wins all three, and Atlanta wins one, they're tied on 9 points.
Wow.
There's a chance that they might not even get out, and that's only if Atlanta wins one. But Atlanta, a very good team, they could just win all three, and then that just New York City is more or less in a position of having to win, especially if
That's
they are not like one of the top two teams, because the top two get out, and the third place, three or four of the third place teams will get out of their group, which is not ideal. But I mean, you can make up a bigger point differential at the same time. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how it ends up working out. As more details come out and as bracket play starts, we will definitely talk about this because it's one of the only sports that are officially back. I mean, wait, baseball goes back today, I believe. Today's the
yeah. They
first day.
start their training camp.
Yeah, today is the first day. Um, yeah, so they're like the first group back, so that is something we will definitely talk about. They start their games July 8th, so that is next week. Yeah, next weekend. So that is something we're definitely going to talk about because sports, they're back. They're back finally. But yeah, they're back. It's gonna be interesting to see how it comes out, how it turns out. I don't know exactly how groups were determined because the East has one group of six, which doesn't make sense. Oh, wait, actually, yeah, it does. It does make sense. There's just 14 teams in the East and 12 in the West. Oh, so also, which would be an interesting topic soon, does the MLS add two more teams to the West? I feel like that
Uh,
is something they might do to make it 14 and 14. Although I'm pretty sure they said they wanted to do something similar to the NFL and have like 30 teams. But I
you said they
feel
have 26 right now,
yes, they have 26 right now.
but the conferences are uneven.
There's 14 in the East and there's 12 in the West.
That's crazy.
So my guess is they're gonna add two more to the West at some point.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense that instead of having 13-13, you have an odd number in the conferences. So you obviously want to keep it 14 and 12. I guess it's just weird to see that. I mean, it's based off points though, so I guess your record doesn't really matter as much. So
Yeah, and especially like you're gonna play 17 home, 17 away, so you might not like you're only gonna play each team twice max. I think.
okay,
So I don't think you just play your conference. Like you're definitely gonna play like Western Conference games. Like the whole MLS is not bad. That's a topic for another day, for in my opinion. But yeah, the MLS. Look, props to them. I don't agree with a lot of what the MLS does, just because of the way they run it, because they run it more Americanized than I guess the way the rest of the entire world runs their league. But the MLS got it done. The MLS got it done. They're coming back, and props to them. They did it before everyone else, and they start the soonest also. So they've just overall just done a really good job. I give them props. But as the MLS starts to come back and they start playing games and things start shaking up in the standings, we will definitely talk about that more.